Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today I want to make a video about how to not get scammed when you're using P2P cryptocurrency exchanges. Now, P2P cryptocurrency exchanges are an interesting dichotomy between extreme Wild West, where you're dealing with a lot of people that may have malevolent intention, but at the same time, it's still safe enough for people to use. It's safe enough where billions of dollars can go in and out of this market with maybe only a few casualties. Now, I want to use myself as an example. As someone who has done thousands of trades on P2P cryptocurrency exchanges, I'm happy to say that in my entire time doing it, I haven't been scammed once. Now, I have been scammed peer-to-peer trading in general, only a handful of times, but that was dealing with people directly over Telegram without escrow. I like to call that raw dogging it, which is it's a very dangerous way of trading. And that has happened a few times, and there's always a risk of these kinds of things happening when you're peer-to-peer trading. But on an actual peer-to-peer crypto exchange itself, I'm happy to say, no matter how dodgy the exchange that I've used, I've always generally come out on top, and nothing too bad has happened to me. And I want to explain how this dynamic can take place. Like why P2P cryptocurrency exchanges can be dangerous, why they can be safe at the same time, and how you can protect yourself. I'm going to split this video up for buyers and for sellers, because the dynamic is very different for both of those things. So let's get into it. So if you're a buyer, I want to explain that it's very simple to not get scammed, all right? So what you need to do is, all you have to do is, when you're in a peer-to cryptocurrency exchange, local CoinSwap for instance, referral link in the description below if you haven't signed up already. When you're on a place like this, it's very simple. Just look for the people with high feedback, right? Even someone with, say, 10 feedback, that is proof enough that the past 10 trades they've done, they haven't scammed someone. So the chance of them deciding after 10 times of being legit that suddenly they're going to flip their script and it's going to be you that they're going to target, and suddenly they're going to destroy their reputation just so they could scam, it's very unlikely. You need to understand the mindset of the average scammer is these people aren't willing to invest long-term in their scams. So what they're going to do is they're going to create multitudes of accounts with zero feedback and no trading history, and they're going to try to get you that way. But people that are sellers, they're in it for the long term, so they're going to build feedback over a long period of time, and they're going to accumulate a history, and that's really obvious. So when you see someone with 1,000 feedback, the chances of them scamming you is virtually zero. When you see someone within 50 feedback, the chances of them scamming you is also virtually zero. Someone with 10 feedback, you might be a little bit on the edge, but generally speaking, they're not going to scam you. And how else can you prevent this? Because maybe you decide the trust is enough, and that's good. You shouldn't trust people anywhere in the P2P cryptocurrency trading world. It doesn't matter if it's on Telegram, it doesn't matter if it's an exchange. You shouldn't just trust people, but this is a good way of filtering people when you're looking for people to buy from. The next thing you want to look for, and this is very simple, what's going to happen is you're going to open up a trade with someone. Just for example, I'll open it here with this guy. You're going to open a trade with this person. You're going to put in how much you want to buy. You're going to click buy, and what's going to happen is he's going to give you trading instructions. Oh, he's already got it here. So it says you deserve a 10 seconds trade, which means he wants you to pay within sorry. He wants you to pay within 10 seconds. Actually, to be honest, that does sound a little bit unreasonable. You deserve 2-second replies. Okay, so I guess he wants you to be prompt, and I understand that. So everyone's got their own payment policy. He'll send that to you, and you just gotta follow the rules. And what's gonna happen is, so if I open a trade with that person, he's then gonna send me his payment information. I then have to send him payment, and then once payment is sent, I then have to click a button, and this will be on any cryptocurrency exchange. There'll be a button that says, I have paid. Click that button, and then the funds are locked in. So once that happens, there's no way that he can scam you after that, provided that you've got at least some proof, which is very easy. Just take a screenshot of the payment that you sent, you put it in the chat, and then he'll just simply release the payment. So what if in a very rare case scenario he did receive the payment, but he said that he didn't receive it, what do? So there should be very easy ways of showing proof that you sent it. It's very simple. Like you take a screenshot, and then you open a dispute, and if you actually sent payment, it should be obvious that you sent payment. So it's really hard to get scammed. Now, what I want to say though is at the same time, if there is an arbitration dispute, the moderator is usually going to favor the seller. And I'm going to explain why that is when I talk about the seller part of this video. But even though I say that, despite that, you don't really have much to worry about if you're a buyer. Now, this might also vary depending on the payment methods. Most payment methods are very straightforward, and it's very provable that you sent the funds. So if there was a dispute, it's very easy for things to go in your favor. But there are some methods that I will talk about, not because many of you might use this method, but I think it's just a good way of giving you an example about how you might get scammed based on the payment method. So one example of a payment method where it's possible to get scammed as a buyer would be if you're using gift cards. So if you're a buyer of cryptocurrency and using gift cards to buy the cryptocurrency, it's very hard to prove that when you sent those gift cards to that seller, it's very hard to prove that he actually redeemed them or redeemed the gift card codes. It's very hard for you to actually prove that you sent them and that they were legit in the first place. And that's an example of where if the seller was dishonest, where he could actually take advantage of you and the moderator would go in your favor. But that's a rare example. Like, most people watching this video are not going into these extremely obscure payment methods. But yeah, so besides these rare examples, most payment methods are very, very safe. So now I want to go into the seller, because this is where I think it actually is going to require some skill and some, I guess, online street smarts to not get scammed. So this is probably for people that want to get into P2P trading as a business, or they want to get into P2P trading to make money. This will be really good information for you. Again, if you want to get into P2P selling to make a bit of money, you can sign up with my referral link in the description below for HODL and local coin swap. So for people that are selling, what I want to emphasize to you is that you want to identify what I like to call non-reversible transfer payments. So every time you send a payment, that payment is either going to be reversible or non-reversible. And unfortunately, most payment methods, like a bank transfer, for instance, is in fact reversible. PayPal, for instance, I could sell an item on eBay, receive funds from a customer, and the customer a month later could say, well, actually, I never received it, with zero proof whatsoever, and PayPal will side with them. In fact, I believe this is one of the reasons why cryptocurrency exists, because if a payment is potentially reversible, then you don't really have control over your own money in the first place, right? That's why something crypto is good. Now, if you're selling cryptocurrency, when you send it to someone, is a non-reversible payment. And if you're exchanging a non-reversible payment for a reversible payment, that's where you can get scammed. So you want to be only using payment methods and using strategies that will allow you to receive money in a way that the buyer can't do a reverse charge on you, which is the primary scam that people are going to use on you as a seller. They're going to send you funds, you're going to release the cryptocurrency, and then a week later they're going to contact their bank and say, oh, I was scammed, or I was hacked, or something like that. The bank is going to side with them. So I'm going to give you two things that are going to help you as a seller. I'm first going to tell you which payment methods are generally going to be reversible and which ones aren't going to be reversible. And then for the ones that are reversible, I'm going to tell you how you can avoid getting scammed still. So generally, as a seller, you want to avoid reversible transactions. And there are a number of different payment methods within peer-to-peer trading that are non-reversible. So just off the top of my head, you've got TransferWise, you've got Revolut, but you have to trade Revolut in a particular way. There's certain methods that you have to use. You can't use normal RevTag. Payoneer is another example. Skrill, I think Zinli, and there's even something like PayPal. Like PayPal is usually reversible, But if you get the person to send you funds via friends and family and using PayPal balance, they won't be able to reverse that transaction. So you want to find payment methods that are non-reversible, and then find strategies inside that payment method. Like maybe the buyer has to send you funds in a particular fashion in order to be able to make it so they can't reverse it. So maybe there's different options of sending funds within that payment platform, but then you have to make it so the buyer only sends it via this payment method. So PayPal, for instance, you can't allow the buyer to send via goods and services. They have to send by friends and family, for instance, and they can't pay by debit card. They have to pay by PayPal balance. As an example, same with TransferWise. They have to send by PayPal balance. In fact, just a general good rule of thumb, if you want people to send you non-reversible transactions, make sure they send via the money balance they have in a particular payment platform. So Revolut, they need to send via funds they already have in their Revolut account. They need to send via funds in their Wise account, funds via their Payoneer account. It can't be like there's a credit card attached to this account and then actually it's funds from their bank account being sent to your account, right? Because that can be reversible. So the second thing I want to mention is if you are going to accept payment by a reversible transfer method, and I on that note, I want to say that the only reversible method of payment that I think would be viable to accept is bank transfer, just because there's a lot of volume there. There's a lot of trustworthy people in this place. And usually it's okay, and it's actually harder most of the time than you'd think to reverse a payment via bank, especially if these, you have banks in different countries or something like that. And it also varies on the country. Some countries, it's so easy to do a reverse payment. Like in Australia, you'd never consider doing a bank transfer for this kind of stuff because it's just so easy for someone to scam you. But that being said, if you did want to do it, because it is still viable, what you want to do is you want to have to KYC your buyer. So the reason why you want to KYC is because in order to avoid a reverse charge, you need to have proof that the person who purchased the cryptocurrency from you actually did it, and they did it via their own decision making, and they weren't coerced. No one told them what to do. No Nigerian scammer was on the phone telling them to send funds to the Prince of Zulu land or whatever like that. And you need proof of that. And there's a very simple way of doing it. And you're doing it the same way that any bank or any institution will do it. You're just going to ask for a picture of their ID. You're not just going to do that. You're going to do three things. I'm going to give you an additional option. First, you're going to ask for a picture of them holding their ID next to their face, right? That's number one. And then secondly, you're going to have them take a picture of them holding their ID in front of the trade screen. So if you're on local CoinSwap, if you're on Binance, if you're on OKX, they need to take a photo of them holding the ID in front of the trade screen. So it'll have all the trade details, it'll have their username, it'll have like the amount of money it's being paid for, that's being sent, it'll have the trade ID, and they'll be having holding their ID in front of it. So it's incontrovertible that they purchase cryptocurrency from you. So if they later on down the line call up the bank and say, oh, I never did this transaction, the bank will put a freeze on your funds in your account, or they may even suspend your banking. You can then call up your bank and say, hey, look, I've got all these documents, and then the bank will side with you. So that's why you should ask for KYC. That's how you should ask for KYC. And the last thing another additional option that I want to mention is that depending on how serious you believe, depending on how concerned you are about scams, or maybe dealing with people that have very malevolent intentions. Okay, I'll give you a very specific example, right? There are a number of people that will try and they will, like, especially from Nigeria, but India, of course, they will call up and coerce old people into buying cryptocurrency on their behalf via third-party trading. So what I mean is that they'll say, hey, you've got to send me $1,000 worth of USDT, otherwise we're going to send you to jail because you didn't pay your tax, sir, ma'am, whatever, right? And in order to do this, you need to hold up your ID up to the laptop, up to your phone, and take a photo, and do all the KYC steps that I just described to you now, in order to get them to, get them to send funds to into the seller, right? So they're being coerced now, and this might seem like a very niche problem, but the reality is it's actually a very serious problem, and this is going to create huge problems for you, because you will potentially inadvertently become a mule for people that are scammers and doing very terrible things, and you don't know what kind of hot water that could get you in. And this is also going to vary on what kind of platform you're using. On Binance or Bybit, you're not going to encounter this problem at all. But on these other non-KYC platforms, even something like local CoinSwap, this is something that's likely to happen. So my suggestion to you, and this is a really smart idea that I developed, what you're going to do is, like, think about what country you're in. Let's just say you're from Vietnam, and you're doing bank transfers, but only with other people from Vietnam. So you're going to do your KYC thing with them. Then you're going to ask them an additional question that's almost like a nationality IQ test, where it's like, think of something that only Vietnamese people would know. Like, it's a certain food, right? Take a picture of that food, and you're going to put it into Google. You're going to put it into Paint, and you're going to, like, distort the image slightly so you can't use it in a reverse image search, because they might use a website like TinyEye to reverse image search and discover what this thing is. Then you're going to send this distorted image to your buyer and say, okay, in order for us to trade, identify what this is. Now, if that person's actually Vietnamese, they're going to have no problem knowing what this picture is. It's like, oh, I've been eating this my whole life. Like, every single Vietnamese person knows exactly what this is. It's very simple. But if they're from another country, which usually implies they're going to be a scammer, and they're from India or Nigeria, they might have all the KYC properly done, but they're just not going to know what this thing is. So I'll give you a quick example, right? Unfortunately, there are a lot of people trying to scam in Australia. When I was doing bank transfer trades, what I did was I'd have this thing called the Vegemite test. So there would be scammers that, for some reason, I don't know how they did it, but they would get whoever they were scamming to take a photo of their ID next to their face, and take another photo of them holding the ID in front of the trade screen. But there was still something really dodgy about the transaction. I had a bad feeling about it. Then I'd send a picture of Vegemite, just, standard Vegemite. And these genius scammers would have every way to coerce someone into, sending funds to me. But then I would discover that actually this person isn't even Australian. This person is supposedly, from Queensland, and, they've lived there their whole life, and they don't know what Vegemite is. So this is a really smart way of determining whether someone is legit or not, and it will stop you dealing with people that are very, very unscrupulous. Now, I've probably given far too in-depth information to the average person. Many of you have probably never even traded P2P before, and I probably went into a bit too much information, but I think this is going to be a good video for whether you're completely brand new, whether you're an intermediate, or whether you're selling P2P at a high level. So I hope this has been helpful, and if you have any more questions about anything in particular about how to not get scammed in P2P trading, you can ask me in the comment section below, and I'll get back to you. And again, I suggest going to HODL and local CoinSwap if you're interested in doing non-KYC P2P trading. You can use my referral link in the description below, or you can use Binance and Bybit as well. The reason why I didn't get into this into the video, but if you're really worried about scams, or just dealing with just potentially dodgy people, and you're a novice to P2P trading, I really recommend also just trading P2P on Bybit and Binance. You do have to KYC, but the sellers they're totally legit. It's really hard to get scammed there, even by buyers, in my opinion. So if you're interested in signing up to Bybit or Binance for the purpose of P2P trading, again, you can use my referral link in the description below, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. See ya.